This is the only thing of value I got for my season tickets this year. So I'm going to use it. Reach your whistle. That's a good point. All right, let's call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Call to order. And let's salute the flag. Campbell Skinner, Celia Benedetto, and Luke Lyden, come up here, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone, let's have a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Sunshine Law. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public meetings may be held in person or by means of communication equipment to include streaming services and other online meeting platforms. This meeting is being held in person and through the Zoom meeting platform, being broadcast from Borough Hall, 748 River Road, Fairhaven, New Jersey. Public participation for this regular council meeting of October 25th, 2021 is available by call-in phone number or through web conference Zoom. Members of the public will be on mute until it is time for questions and comments, which will be announced. At that time, the public has the opportunity to question, comment by phone or through Zoom by the raise hand button and will be called on at the appropriate time. Notice of this meeting was included in the schedule of meetings, which was adopted by resolution number 2021-13 and sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, the Hub, and the Star Ledger on January 7th, 2021, posted on the Borough website, the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. With adequate notice having been given, the Borough Clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Allison, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Christner Keith, Hott,
Yes.
McCabe, McHugh,
Yes.
Neff, here, Rodriguez,
Here.
and Administrator Casagrande, Attorney Carmen, Chief McGovern, and Engineer Burdell are awesome.
Okay, we're going to start with the ceremonial oath of office. Yeah.
Raise your left hand. Repeat after me. I, Joshua Halpern,
I, Joshua Halpern,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform the duties of mayor
perform the duties of mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right.
Sure.
Well, I know a lot of people like to speak from the heart. I like to speak from the card, which is a little bit different. So I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. And also anyone that's watching on Zoom, I don't even know where the camera is, but I really appreciate everyone being here tonight. First, I'd like to thank my lovely wife, Nicole. People are calling her the First Lady of Fairhaven, and she loves that. My children, Zach and Lily, I love you all very much. I'm so happy to share this moment with you. Thank you to my brother Jake for being here and swearing me in. I want to also thank my parents for their unconditional love and support they've given me since the day I was born. Mima, thank you for being here. And all my friends and family, thank you for your support tonight. I need to also recognize that I see so many of the kids that I've coached and watched grow up over the years, which is very emotional to me. I love you all and feel so lucky to have you all in my life. However, this is not going to get you out of running tomorrow night. Andy Trocchia, Liz Slavin, Sherry D'Angelo, John Peters, and the Republican Committee for considering me for this role, and the entire Borough Council in having the confidence in my ability to work with them in improving the borough. You all have been so welcoming to me and helping and getting me up to speed, and I'm so excited to be working with each and every one of you. Thank you. Teresa, Allison, Rich, DJ, Betty, the entire borough staff. It's been so great to get to know you. I'm looking forward to working together to solve the many challenges we are faced with in the coming weeks and months. I've had the opportunity to meet with Chief McGovern, Chief Countryman, Nancy Medro, and Superintendent Neal over the course of the past week. Fairhaven, you are in very, very good hands. As you'll find out momentarily, we are recognizing Domestic Violence Awareness Month tonight. Purple is the color for domestic violence awareness. And you may notice that some of us have incorporated this color into our wardrobe choices tonight. It also dawned on me that purple is a combination of the colors red and blue, two colors that are used to identify Republicans and Democrats. It's my goal that the council will strive to set an example for this community in the way that we work together. We'll have many healthy debates in the future that will center around sidewalks and curbs, buildings, pocket parks, trees, and the like. And those things are important and help make our mighty little borough a magical place to live. But ultimately, it is not our greatest resource. The people of Fairhaven are more valuable than any building material or ordinance. The passion of this community is unmatched and undisputed. It is a melting pot of longtime residents and COVID transplants and everyone in between that choose to live here because of the humanity and togetherness that it exudes on a daily basis. Closing out, in my teens, I played a lot of sports. And on some occasions, I may have let my mouth run at my opponents at certain times. My dad would always tell me to do my talking on the field. The mayoral conversion of this advice is I intend to do my governing on the dais and put an emphasis on listening to the constituents. I hope I made you all proud. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the community. Let's roll. With regard to the Domestic Violence Awareness Ordinance, I'm going to read a proclamation regarding Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas, in just one day across the U.S. and its territories, nearly 75,000 victims of domestic violence sought services from domestic violence programs and shelters. That same day, more than 9,000 requests for services, including emergency shelter, housing, transportation, childcare, and legal representation could not be provided because programs lacked the resources to meet victims' needs. That same day, an unknown number of victims of domestic violence were unable to seek out the help and safety they desperately need. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole, here in this community, throughout the United States and the world. And whereas Racism, homophobia, transphobia, ageism, and discrimination based on physical ability, nationality, gender, sex, or other factors help to perpetuate domestic violence and make finding safety even more difficult for some victims. And whereas the need for safe housing continues to be rated as survivors' most urgent need. And whereas survivors of domestic violence are strong, courageous, and resilient. And whereas the Borough of Farragut joins with others across New Jersey and the nation in supporting victims of domestic violence, as well as local programs, state coalitions, national organizations, and other agencies nationwide that are committed to increasing public awareness of domestic violence and sending a clear message to abusers that domestic violence is not tolerated in Farragut. And whereas domestic violence impacts more than 12 million Americans each year, but it can be prevented by requiring the collective voice and power of individuals, families, institutions, and systems, each who adds a valuable and powerful component to transforming our communities. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the month of October 2021 is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and that the Farragut governing body recognizes the important work done by domestic violence programs, our police, judges, healthcare workers, and advocates who assist victims of domestic violence and search for solutions to end domestic violence. Through prevention, intervention, education programs, and zero tolerance for domestic violence in our community, we can make a difference. I, Joshua Halpern, hereby set my hand and seal this 25th day of October, 2021. Let's move on to workshop session 2021 best practices. Teresa.
Yes, Mayor. The state of New Jersey, approximately 8 years ago, instituted a survey that they have every municipality they participate in. It's called their best practice inventory. And each year, the survey's evolved over the year, and each year they come up with a different set of questions that we are compelled to answer, and it gives them an idea of where we're hitting the mark and where we may need to improve. They've also amended it a little bit as each year goes on, and they have questions in here that are you get points for, and questions in here that are simply informational in nature. They're taking you know, just a regular survey. In order, they tie the scoring to financial aid, and depending on where you rank up in your points, your total points, you can have some state aid withheld. I'm pleased to report anyone who has a greater score than 15 in the best practice inventory gets 100% of our aid, and the borough's current score is 21.50. The best practice inventory is supplied to the governing body members for your booth. It's also available to any member of the public who'd like to see it. I want to thank Allison and our CFO, Colleen Lapp, for assisting me in the preparations of the inventory, which has been submitted to the state of New Jersey.
May I have a motion to accept the borough's best practice inventory?
Second.
Good. Moving on, 2022 leaf and brush schedule.
Yes, Mayor, we had talked about this at the last meeting. It's back on tonight's agenda because we need to make a decision because we do publish this in our calendar, which is, believe it or not, being prepared for 2022 as by Betty as we speak. So before you have the listing by month of what the borough picks up in brush and leaves, that is the schedule for 2021. I just need to know if you're looking to make any changes for 2022. Noting, like we talked about last week, we can, although we can change the months that we may want to consider for brush and leaves, changing the total number of pickups would require additional manpower and equipment with our current staff in DPW. So it's really up to you guys how and where you want to proceed going forward.
There's a question. I mean, it's a kind of seasonal for March, Teresa. Like last year, I think there were a lot of people who felt they wanted a brush pickup during March. Do we have any flexibility to switch
we do have,
into next year? Like
we do have flexibility for that if you wanted to change out another month work. We used to do nothing in July, thinking that it was hot and people weren't cutting their brush back, and people were busy vacationing at the beach. But a couple of years ago, the governing body decided to add brush pickup in July, and they removed it from March. Leaves are a funny thing. We now pick them up in April and May, brush and leaves together. You know, sometimes, you know, people might prefer to pick up brush and leaves in March and, you know, leave May open. It's really up to you on how you want to proceed. It is very weather dependent. You don't know. We can have snow in March sometimes, and same thing, we can have snow in December when we're in the middle of still picking up leaves. So it's never a sure thing, and sometimes a matter of opinion on which months you think at either end are the more important ones to deliver that service in.
Could I make a suggestion? That we leave the schedule as it stands, and we are reconvening our brush committee, and maybe that could be something that we bring up with our committee members and then come back with a recommendation for 2023.
That's fine. That's
That works. That's kind of Councilwoman Tosh and I were talking about that. It sounds good. After they assess how the grind goes at the brush site, so they can start working out and look into this, really get it right, not rush it. And just kind of take it from there. So leave it as is. Look into it.
I agree. I mean, I would also suggest maybe thinking about being flexible. Like if there's a particular reason why March needs a pickup, do a pickup in March and then maybe pick up July or something, and have maybe a, you know, like set up a schedule, but allow for some flexibility. If there is a reason for it. Not that we should make that change, but.
I agree.
just be
March
flexible.
was kind of on the radar. Some residents were talking about spring trimming and stuff like that, and there might be a need for March.
we might, I mean, the Director of Public Works is here, Rich Gardella. He might have a thought on whether July or March is a better, you know, indicator for when you might want to pick up, you know, brush and leaves. Any thoughts on that, Rich?
I think March would be suitable for the residents, because, you know, people like to start their early spring cleanups, but there is a chance of snow. And we've had to deal with that in prior years where brush is literally in the street, and we have a storm coming like tomorrow, we have a nor'easter. So picture if that was a snowstorm in March, we'd be scrambling today to try to get up as much material as we can, you know, prior to a storm event. And then yet we're still trying to prepare for a storm, and then we're using manpower to get the stuff off the street. So July would work as well for a swing month too, because there's other things we could be doing in the streets department and the other departments as well. So you don't know what Mother Nature's gonna do. So we can go either way. As long as we don't necessarily add a month, then we would have to go back to really take a look at the schedule and see how things would fit into that. But from a calendar standpoint, obviously we want to print the calendar prior to year end, get those out. We do have flexibility with the website and emailing constant contacts to make changes if necessary. And then obviously, if we do have storms, we do send out crews occasionally if there's storm debris. So, but that spring cleanup is key. And the challenges we face is people start putting it out usually in March anyway, and if we're not grabbing it until April, then it's on the street 4 to 6 weeks. And then the town just starts to look like, you know, all the zones are covered with brush and leaves for that matter. So I like the idea of revisiting and reassessing for 2023 and really seeing how this next brush grind goes. We're also having trouble, just so you know, our leaf disposal site was closed down by DEP over Brook Farm. We've been using them for probably 15 to 20 years. We did find an alternative site in Colts Neck. We were just notified that they did not get their approvals. So here we are going into leaf season. We do have a plan B, but these are other things that we need to consider. The state and the DEP are getting stricter with what we do with that product and how we handle it and where we take it. So that all plays into it as well.
So 2 comments, I'll make it quick. Councilwoman Cox liked your idea. That was always the plan, was to get the brush committee looking at this. The original brush committee recommendation was more leaf and brush pickup, not less. So this is parallel or in line with that. It's not cutting it. I do think that obviously the weather is going to factor in. We could do it 2 weeks earlier rather than 2 weeks later. If it's a mild winter, we should consider pivoting and maybe taking 2 weeks out of July. And the contractors that generally come in for private homes are doing cleanup on a schedule. And, it really is dictated by weather. It's not necessarily dictated by anything else. So we can be flexible. We should consider being flexible and work with the engineer on that. So we can make a motion to adopt this and
Let's make a motion to approve the 2022 schedule.
Motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna move on to LED street lighting.
Mayor, Councilwoman Neff, who's the liaison to the Environmental Commission, is going to speak on this topic.
Yes, so Fairhaven has approximately 249 streetlights. About 49 of those are incandescent. There's also a mix of some of the other lights are a mix of sodium, and which are like a yellow light, or the mercury lights, which is more like a blue-white tinge to it. Last year, the Environmental Commission tested LED lights in different intersections of the town to see if they look right, if they would be a good option, and if they felt that it fit in well with our needs, and they're more environmentally friendly. They require a lot less energy, typically requiring just about 50 watts. So their recommendation is that that becomes our replacement for our lights, as we go through the rotation, that each of the lights will replace going forward for LED. That's pretty much it. Chris, anything else on that?
No, I think that covers it. I just want to obviously give a shout out to Ralph Windrum, who's the environmental chair. Ralph spearheaded this initiative and the testing piece of it, and even went so far as to follow up on the actual cost to the borough through the BPU, because initially JCP now was claiming that we would have to pay $500 per upgrade, and Ralph chased that down on all the BPU and found that not to be true. And so he is a real asset to the borough, and as is the whole Environmental Commission and the Green Team. So this is a nice initiative. I think it'll be very green and friendly going forward. And I will send a letter or an email to JCP&L with your approval, telling them that we do want our lights that burn out to be replaced by LEDs.
Do we need a motion for that?
No, as long as everyone's on board and you're fine with that, I'll just go ahead and send the letter.
Moving along, the special meeting date, bid for improvements to Hants Road and Cooney Terrace. We need to determine a date for the discussion of bids received.
And ultimately to award the bid to them.
And to award the project no later than November 21st, which is a Sunday. The dates available for a special meeting, the 15th, the 17th, and the 18th, can be done in person or via Zoom. As an FYI, this is also the week of Annual League of Municipalities Convention, which I may be attending. I don't know about your schedules. November 15th is the best for me.
It is a Monday.
Monday.
That sounds right to me.
It's a Monday, the 15th, yes.
Monday. Does that work?
It works for me.
Okay, by me.
Good, okay.
All in favor?
Now we're on to the public comment on agenda items. These are public comments just on the items that are listed in your agenda. Do you have any comments you'd like to make? Anything on Zoom? Oh, Marty?
You can write that fine, that's very good.
40 and 33 Hants Road. Rich, if I could just ask, I noticed that you and somebody else were going down towards and assessing something. Can you just elaborate on, what names were that?
That was part of the ongoing field work that we do as we do our final drawings for the Hampshire Road project. We go out and spot measure things and verify grading, drainage, all the logistic features, things of that nature.
And was there anything that came up that would affect any of the residents or?
No, it was just a follow-up from the prior meeting, special meeting that we had, authorizing us to prepare the drawings the way we had spelled them out, and it's very typical, that's how we do all our projects.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
I do have one hand raised there if there's no one else here in the public meeting.
Tracy?
Tracy Toll, 123 Grange.
Hi, Tracy.
I missed the date for the special meeting that you just arranged.
That is November 15th,
And then, sorry, 7 o'clock
7 p.m. 7 p.m.
for Zoom or in person?
Oh, I'd say it's Zoom. Yes. Is that okay? Is that all right?
That's,
Yeah. Zoom.
And then I just had a quick question about brush. I appreciate the attention to the schedule and everything. My comments and questions don't have to do with the schedule, although I think they'll get feedback from folks. And I'll do my part to pay attention and listen to what people say about how efficiency and so on. It's hard to plan from other nature. But I had a question about the route that would be used to access the brush burning site. I know it's new, we have a new vendor, correct? On the side of the trucks is new. Could you review the route that the trucks are currently planning to use to get to the brush burning site?
I'll let the chief take that.
I just want to confirm.
Oh, I wanted to know how the trucks will be going to be moving through the town and getting to the brush burning site.
Well, this year they're going to be using much less trucks, right? It's a company that has done the brush drying many years ago. And when they did, they opened Cedar Avenue to Third to William. And he said that they can't make the turn off of Fair Road. What happened was, when they're making the turn on Fair Road, they're going up on the grass there and making the curve. So he said that you can come up there, he said not to pump the kids are there. You know, they're legal things.
So could you, one more time, Cedar, Third,
So William.
to William?
Yeah.
Is there an alternate that would take them through a less dense residential area? Is there?
I mean, the way they were coming, the other company was coming is Henderson to Williams. They were going to Ferry Road.
That's not a straight shot, right?
Yeah, they're going Ferry Road. The problem was that they can't make the turn coming off Ferry Road. They had a problem with Ferry Road coming and going, and then there's a lot of kids there too around school time. And the real problem was they can't make the turn into Henderson without driving over the curb and over grass.
But they have no problem with the turns at Cedar and Third.
Yes, I mean, that's what he's telling me, it is a wider road. And that's how they did it up until we hired other companies. That's how Atlantic Tree always, that was their route when they did it before. But they're using much less trucks because it's a very much small operation. It's only the owner and one of the guys who drive the trucks, they're not using contract truckers. And that's what happened with the other company, using contract trucks, they were coming sleeper cabs. They were coming, 15, 20 trucks coming at a time. You couldn't control it because you tell them not to come at this time, but they all show up and they weren't working for them. This should be a much more smooth operation because it's only the owner and one of the drivers.
Okay.
And that's it. And, we told them, our administrator was there, Nick was there, everybody in there. And, we stressed them so many times, do not come
Yeah.
at 2:40. The problem was this, you came in here late, you stopped waiting on Cedar for an hour. He's like, I won't let that happen.
I'm very appreciative.
That's what he said to me.
Sure.
And you had myself and everybody else calling the day before they were supposed to start, they had some posts equipment, parts, and we're going to no parts. We did, but we have to put it down. And, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we're going to try it. And he said, this is how we did it before, there wasn't a problem. So that's the other company.
Okay. But I know a lot of work has been done on this, I don't acknowledge that, obviously, this is a much more improved scenario, and yet it's also still, we still are gonna be in an assessment period, I assume, to understand exactly how much better, how much improved this is. And the only thing in my mind when I was thinking about it was the route to access the brush grinding site. You know, initially, it seemed unsettling to think of the trucks coming that way. So if there's an alternative that perhaps is on the table, or at least should be thought about it, then maybe it can be switched in case there are problems. But the fact that they're coming without, there are people walking even when the kids are in school, obviously. So I just wanted to put a word out there about progress that's been done is awesome, and I know we still need to evaluate this new scenario. I have some concern about the route, so I just wanted to share my thoughts.
Thank you for your interest in the safety of the residents. Thank you, Chief McGovern, for that explanation as well. Thank you. Is there anyone else online? or-
We have 2 members on Zoom. If there's nobody else in the public there, I'll recognize RB. I'm assuming that may be Ruth Blazer. Ruth, do you unmute yourself? You can speak.
Hello.
Hi, Ruth. How are you?
Yes, good evening. You know, this could all be so much simpler. The town should be run for the convenience of the citizens because we pay god-awful taxes. And make it simple. You pick up brush and leaves in an area every month. If a month has 5 weeks, okay, do something else. But if you, and give everybody a zone that if they are in zone 1, then it's the first week of every month for everything. Bulk, leaves and brush, everything. I'm quite sure it can be efficiently worked out and scheduled that this can happen. Having it more often does not make any more leaves fall off the trees. It does not accrue any more bulk stuff. It just spreads it out further. They just had a leaf thing in North Carolina in the town one of my sons lives in. And he sent me a copy of it. And it is so resident friendly that it's just amazing. And on top of it, at the bottom, they had also gotten a small tax decrease with doing all these things. And if seniors or someone was disabled and needed extra help, all they had to do was call the DPW and they got it. Now, folks, come on, keep it simple. That's it.
Good, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you reaching out about the brushing the leaves. I believe that Councilwoman Cox suggested that we have a committee that's going to look into it and see if we can make any improvement to the schedule. I think all of us would love if we could pick up brush every day, but we do have a fiscal responsibility to the residents as well, to this borough, and that's why they're going to get together and figure out the best path forward for the borough of Fairhaven. We appreciate your call very much. Thank you.
Mayor, I'm going to recognize Claudia Brady. Claudia, if you unmute yourself, you can speak now.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi, Fairhaven Road. I apologize if I missed the answer to this, but will the Hans Cooney plans be posted at some point when it goes out to bid? I know the 5th item regarding curbing was still, one of those things to sort of permanently be decided in the plans. So will those plans be available for viewing?
They will as soon as they're finalized.
Yes.
And when do you anticipate that might be?
Rich, you have a date?
We, Allison, we're gonna be advertising in Friday's paper,
Yes.
so Friday morning, what do you think? If not, late Thursday.
Were you able to hear that?
This week, right? This week, Thursday or Friday? Is that what you said?
Friday morning, yes.
Super. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the call. Thank you for your time.
Don't have anybody else from the Zoom platform there that has their hand up.
Okay, with that, let's move on to approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the October 12th, 2021 executive session and October 18th, 2021 special meeting minutes?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Old business, there's nothing listed for old business. Does anyone have any old business they would like to discuss?
No.
Okay, let's move on to new business. Finance, Councilwoman Neff.
Not much new to report. We had another very helpful meeting this past week on finance, with the finance committee. As we go through this process of better understanding, the financial planning over a period of 3 years. We had a department head that already came in and talked to us about the 3-year plan or the needs for that department. And we expect that's what we're gonna be doing once we meet again. We're gonna be talking to another department head and so on. So we can develop this broader view of what are the needs of the borough over a longer period of time. And hopefully that will inform our decisions as we do the budget going forward.
Personnel, Councilwoman Koch.
I have nothing to report for Councilwoman Christner in terms of personnel. In terms of planning and zoning, on October 21st, we had a zoning board meeting, a special meeting with the residents of Fairhaven, where we discussed concerns over overdevelopment, large homes, different types of ordinances and standards. It was a very good conversation, and residents had a lot of personal experiences to share with us. So we will be using that information as we move forward with our land use committee. The next zoning board meeting is scheduled for November 4th, and it will be a Zoom meeting. And planning board, our last planning board meeting for October was canceled due to lack of agenda. And our next planning board meeting will be November 16th. For Parks and Recreation, we had our annual Easter egg hunt, not Easter egg, Halloween egg hunt and parade. There was an overwhelming response by the residents, lots and lots of kids. I would have to say it was a great success. I'd also like to remind our residents that the Halloween decorating contest is back. If you would like to nominate your home or a neighbor's home, all you need to do is send an email to recreation@fairhaven-borough.net, and it's also on our website, the address, and have your home or your neighbor's home added to the judging. The judging will be taking place towards the end of this week. So if you'd like to recommend someone or nominate someone, you need to do it, I would say, tonight or tomorrow. As we approach Halloween, Mischief Night, which is October 30th, we have a 6 p.m. curfew throughout the town. And on Halloween night, there'll be an 8 p.m. curfew throughout the night. Our next recreation meeting, the date was moved from election night, November 2nd to November 9th. It will be noticed in the borough website, and it will be a Zoom meeting. And that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Police, fire, and office emergency management, Councilman McHugh.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing new to report. Councilwoman Koch went over the police aspect for Mischief Night and Halloween. Obviously, the chief will have a lot of police out there passing out glow sticks, making sure everyone's safe. We appreciate that. That's it. So take engineering now.
Go right for it.
So engineering, a lot was covered already regarding the brush site. Your schedule, waiting on a part for the tub grinder. When that gets in, he's gonna reach out to our engineer and the chief. You give proper notice, we'll shut down our prohibited parking on William Street. And I think, Tracy Cole brought up a good point about the new route, but after living near there, looking at it, 3rd Street is much wider because you have that kind of enclave where the cars side park to make that turn. So, we'll be pragmatic, like we said, and try stuff new, see what happens. And get to the best solution. What else do I want to say? Anything else? No comment. That's it. Thank you.
Borough Facilities, Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations, Mayor. Last week, we had a 2-hour facility session. I want to thank all the professionals, but mostly the volunteers that were there, and also welcome the mayor to his first facilities meeting. Councilman McHugh and I co-chair it. What we do is we generally review the requirements and requests from the architect. A number of things have to be resolved before we put out bid specs. We've been setting up bi-weekly meetings. And one of the major things on our agenda right now is an owner's rep, somebody who will be able to help us project manage, while Rich will be involved in all of the intricacies of the projects. It's effectively a full-time job to build a building. It's also a full-time job to build 2 buildings. And Rich has a full-time job right now, so we want him to keep doing his full-time job in addition to working on these 2 projects. So we're looking for the right fit. We've spoken to a whole host of owners reps at this point, and we're continuing that interview process. We don't have one to bring forward yet, but we will ultimately make that recommendation. You can expect advancement on a bi-weekly basis. We'll continue to read out at all of these council meetings what milestones we hit. And as we get closer to bid specs, you'll know that well in advance. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Resolutions 2021-232, executive session, contract negotiations. Resolution 2021-233, approved fire department social membership, Kathleen Walsh. 2021-234, chapter 159, body worn camera grant. Resolution 2021-235, appoint part-time school crossing guards, Sergio Germanario and Nancy Carter. Resolutions 2021-236, payment of vouchers. Will someone offer the approval of the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Council members, Koch,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
Matt, yes, Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thanks.
Department reports, police department.
You don't have to read it.
Okay, budget status, and then may I have a motion to accept the reports as submitted?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up is the good of the borough. Please stand and identify yourself by clearly stating your name and address for the record. Please try to observe a time limit of 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to speak for the good of the borough? Mrs.
I
Dermer.
want something from me. Is this my turn? You can speak. Okay. Hi, my name is Elise Dermer. I'm here from Dermer Dreams. I sent to all of you a letter last week or 2 weeks ago asking to put up our lawn signs and then a big banner across River Road. I was denied the big banner because I was told it's not allowed, which is fine. But then Allison had told me that I could put a banner by Schlenker Pond, and I'd rather put it somewhere else. Can I put it on Fairhaven Fields? Is that possible to put it in front of or somewhere there to get a lot of exposure, like one of each, or no? What do you think about it?
How long would it be up?
It would be up from November 1st to the 20th, and it would go down on Sunday the 21st. Just to create a little bit more, just so everybody knows what's happening.
How big a banner is this?
It's probably about 3 feet by about 15. It's a vinyl with, it'll be staked into the ground. It's pretty difficult to move.
And where would you be
I
putting
haven't
this?
given it
stuff?
that much thought yet. Wherever DJ wants it, wherever any of you guys would want it, but I thought it might be nice to put it somewhere, Dermer Dreams food drive coming in a week or two. It could even be from so much as the 10th to the 20th.
The only problem I see with that is that you don't get the message to all the residents, because there's quite a few residents that may not go to Fairhaven Fields that won't see your sign.
Agreed, but I'm also going to put it on River Road by Schwanker, and I also have, 50 lawn signs that you guys gave me approval
Right.
for a couple of weeks ago that I'm gonna put out throughout the town and the businesses and things like that.
So you're not looking to replace the one at Schwenkers, you want an additional sign at Fairhaven Fields in addition to that,
I
correct?
believe so. Sorry.
Would you potentially put it on Ridge as opposed to in Fairhaven Fields?
That'd be even better.
So this way it's out of the way, it could be seen by the folks that don't really go in there.
They go up
And
and
people
down.
that drive up and down as they go by, they can see it.
That would be wonderful. Where? You mean like outside on Ridge, like between Meadow Ridge and,
Yeah, between Meadow Ridge and Fairhaven Fields on the
You
street
can't
side.
hang.
no, not the stick.
Perpendicular, or parallel to the street.
You could check with DJ, he might be able to
That's a good suggestion.
Wonderful.
do the right spot.
Okay, great.
And he'll know that we approved it, so,
So tell him that you approved it to put it somewhere along Ridge.
and it's just 3 weeks.
Just 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay,
I
thank you
just
very
have a
much.
question. Rich, do you have any issues with like leaf blowing, grass cutting?
No, we're just gonna have to mow around it, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, great.
just coordinate the location with DJ and make it work.
I will, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anyone else for the good of the borough? Yes.
You're not kidding.
Don't come over.
You
Sit
don't
down.
have to- you can just.
Sit down, sit down.
You wanna sit?
Walking helps.
Okay.
Once I get going. This has to do with the water main project. I noticed that most meters are identified with blue markings. However, there are 2 at my house, because my neighbor on the river behind me, her water main runs down my driveway. It always gets missed. I have emailed the project, which was, I think, in one of the constant contacts. I talked to a guy out there. I didn't have any blue paint, or I would have done blue. But I did gold with a great big arrow. So how do I ensure that she gets hooked up when they do the changeover?
You're talking about her meter tap?
Her meter, yeah, and yeah, it's in the end of my driveway.
I'm comfortable if they know what their meters are, but if you want to send me.
No, they don't, because I met somebody coming through in the spring looking for her meter line. They had dug up her sidewalk like her driveway, and then they couldn't find anything. So then they traced it back, and I met them in my yard coming through tracing her meter. They still don't know where it is. So who do I talk to?
You can send me an email and I'll make sure it gets the right person.
Okay, well, I thought I was doing the right thing
That's fine.
by sending to that address. that was
And
in-
I'm sure they got it, but I'll double check and they can follow up with that for you. No problem.
I'd like to make sure she gets hooked up.
Understood.
Susan, send the email to Teresa. We'll make sure that the proper liaisons with that company, make sure that it gets done.
Okay, and then secondly, the thing from Jersey Central Power and Light that just came out in constant contact is referencing tropical storm Isaias. However, is it a rerun?
Betty Ann probably pulled up something that she had on in stock and didn't change the name. It's really for.
Well, it makes it
March.
confusing. It was like, okay.
I will make a note of that.
That being said, there is a storm coming tomorrow, so please take the proper precautions. And thank you for your time, Susan. Anyone else? Tracy?
Thank you. I just had a couple housekeeping questions. When Rich mentioned the plans to probably be done towards the end of the week for the Hanson County phase 2, was your intention to put them on the website?
Yes.
So they will be on the website. at the end of the week. And then the facilities are advancing your.
Sorry, the plans will be, not the actual spec, because we have to
Yeah.
track who requests it in case there's any addendum in between.
Okay, I think I understand. It's the plans that Rich is developing based on the decision the governing body made at the last special.
Right, but not the entire. that's okay.
Quantities, but you can ask.
Most residents who are interested in should be sufficient. Thanks, Howard. The police department, the new police building. It was many months back now that, I think it was a capital review planning board doing participating in that meeting. And I'm assuming, but I don't like to assume, that that was an in-process set of plans and that there was, the elevation in particular was not complete. I know that they received feedback, in particular on the elevation architecturally. Has that evolved and is there something new?
It's unchanged.
It is?
It's unchanged.
I think it needs to be addressed. It really is unresolved. That's my opinion. Maybe there's a way that it's unchanged since the capital review.
Yes.
Has the team been asked to improve upon the facade as it was presented at the capital review?
No, I think it's the front of the building, which is toward the street, is maybe 2 feet off grade. I don't remember exactly, so I don't recall the engineers or the architects mentioning it as an issue.
Is there a way that I could see? I'm speaking about use of materials and how it's designed. Is there a way?
I'm not
we
sure
can
I'm
see-
following the
Well, the
question.
facade of the police building had a certain look at that capital review, and they used some hard-on material and that, you know. And I would like to see it.
Oh, you said elevation, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the topography of the land.
No, the
Let's,
facade.
why don't we take it offline and maybe we can discuss that further. I don't think we have all the right people here for that conversation.
Okay, I tried to look at the website before I got up here and asked my question. Is the latest drawings?
We haven't revised the drawings since that meeting.
Okay, why don't I just email you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then, last question. When is the judging happening for the Halloween decoration? I just heard someone say before Halloween, the judging will take place.
Yes.
Do you know when?
DJ has his judges and it'll probably take place towards the end of the week, which is why I suggested that if you'd like to nominate yourself or a neighbor, you do it today or tomorrow. Because it's going to take a couple of days to accumulate all that information to make a decision.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Tracy. Anyone else? You do the borough?
May I say one thing, Mayor? I was remiss when I was talking about the Halloween parade. I would like to thank the police department, the fire department, our emergency services, the marching band, the ladies auxiliary. That parade could not have taken place without all of those residents who participate in those not committees, those organizations. They made the parade. So thank you. I'd like to thank all of them.
Do we have anyone
I
on
have
Zoom?
two people with their hands up on Zoom. The first one is Claudia Brady. I'll recognize her. Claudia, if you unmute, you can speak again.
Hi, I'm sorry. I have three little things. Only one that maybe you give an answer to tonight, and one is a suggestion.
Okay.
I was hoping that next meeting, maybe we could focus in a little bit more on the plans for the pocket parks, or at least an update on where we stand with that. At one point, some of you know, I asked about, and this has become sort of a dirty word, quote unquote, sidewalks that were on that original plan. So maybe we could just have an update or know what the status is of the pocket parks. A second suggestion is I listened to the special zoning planning meeting, special meeting, which I thought was phenomenal. And one of the topics that came up was how to get good communication from the residents. I was a little, I myself didn't quite understand it. In fact, I'm totally learning this for the first time around in the past year, the structure of how a town and a borough and the municipality works. and I heard various committees represented at the zoning meeting. I heard various subcommittees represented, and I was just going to suggest when you have sort of a hot topic like this, that maybe we create one email, which is a source that the residents could use to feed their suggestions to on this topic, as if they have them, especially I'm a walker, I see a lot of things when I walk around. And if there were one source that you could feed, that then these various committees could access the information without, for the residents at least, not being confused as to where to go. I feel a little bit about the council that if it had a singular source where suggestions could be sent to the council as a whole versus whatever, it might be helpful. And my final thing is really probably very small, but I do walk around, and I just wondered what the status was of fixing these slides at the community center park. I noticed on the bills we had swings, so it reminded me about the slide situation.
Teresa, would you have the answer to that? I know we got a price on it.
For the slide itself?
Yeah.
We can't replace just the slide.
Right, the whole unit.
The whole unit is something that-
$25,000,
All
right?
I'm really waiting for is I'm assuming the Recreation Committee to make a recommendation to the full governing body, either through you or through DJ at the next meeting. And if the governing body is amenable, we could put a capital purchase authorization on a future agenda.
I think the concern there, though, was that that area may be changed a little bit when they redo the police department. Is that accurate?
Well, I think the bottom line there is, I don't think you'd want to talk about the 10,000 foot redoing the entire park area until after your construction is completed. But you certainly could replace that equipment in its current location and ultimately move it at some point in the future. It has to be moved.
Got it. Okay.
All right. we'll come-
Could I take this one step further then, just for my own knowledge? And for Lalina, maybe in the capital process, is there any way, the slide, it sort of became a community discussion point, through the various ways the community talks. Is there any speed up the process of replacing I will call it a standard piece of equipment, where it sounded like from what was just said, you're talking about at least 2 or 3 meetings to get it sort of approved in dollars, et cetera. And so in the planning process, to just think of things like this that are sort of standard within the community, that the community wants, if there's any way to speed up that process going forward. Not now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you. But to address the issue, we do have the ability to replace items. It's a matter of receiving a recommendation from the Recreation Committee and the council voting on it. So there is room in the budget for replacement of items that will need to be replaced for whatever reason. So it's a good question in terms of, capital planning and how we should plan over time, but something like this that breaks and that's not expected, we still have room to do it as long as, there's a recommendation and we move forward.
If it was a straight up repair, I would just cut a purchase order for it. But when it's a full scale capital authorization,
Yeah.
it would take a vote of the governing body to do something.
I
I
can
can
make that
certainly-
recommendation at our next meeting.
Right, and I can even, if it's the council's will, if we know what the recommendation is from the Recreation Committee, I can put the authorization on the next agenda, so, for your consideration. And then ultimately it would have to be ordered, and I don't know where we are in the supply chain with this type of equipment, but I have an idea after DJ talks to the rep.
And that's gonna be the day after our next meeting, so.
I mean, that-
The 22nd.
I know everybody on Rec is for it. They all want this.
Yeah,
to
I
be
haven't seen
replaced.
the, even the final piece that was picked out.
Can DJ just make the recommendation to you?
If he sends me whatever you guys want to purchase, I can put purchase authorization on that. That's not an issue.
Is there any, we're going into colder months here. So
I don't know what the
does it
installation-
matter as far as how long does it take to get it? That's my first question now. So maybe you do need to order it now and then it's ready for the spring.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if it makes sense to put in a playground in the middle of January, but and get the weathering and the wear and tear on it during the colder months when no one's using it, but I assume it's gonna take a long time.
There's only like 2 companies that makes that kind of equipment on the state contract, so you're gonna get in line with 565 people. It might take a few months.
Mayor Ruth Blazer has her hand up and I'll recognize her. Ruth, if you unmute yourself, you can speak.
I'm unmuted. I have a question.
Go ahead, Ruth.
What are the plans for cleaning up McCarter's Pond and Schwenker's Pond? The reason I ask is the scum is still on Schwenker's Pond, and now the trees that surround it are dropping their leaves on top of that. Have you made any plans about remedying this so it doesn't happen again next year?
So the environmental commission earlier this year had recommended that we hydro rake McCarter's Pond, and we're in the process of obtaining a bid. Chris, I'm not sure if there are any updates on that, but for next year, we already were halfway through biotreatment this year, so we continue that. But the intent is to get a bid to do the hydro raking next year. And just in the last environmental commission meeting, we also asked the environmental commission to formulate a plan and a suggestion as to how to address Schwenker's Pond as well. So we're hoping that that will come here for consideration in the next few months. So yeah, so that's on the agenda for us to deal with. We'll deal with it probably first with McCarter's Pond.
Thank you, Ruth.
I think more people see Schwenker's Pond than see McCarter's Pond. The people that pass through from Seabright and Rumson and Red Bank. I mean, it's right in their face, as it were. Okay, next question. Do the residents ever send letters to the mayor and council?
Yes, there's times we receive letters. I mean, the majority of those these days are coming by email, but we receive letters often.
Okay. Back in the day, and I know you don't want to hear that because I say this frequently. It used to be that when correspondence came in, it was read at the council meeting. That way, something that one person writes about will trigger somebody else saying, oh, I thought about that, but I didn't sit down and write a letter about it. Maybe there's more interest in that than just one person. So I think written correspondence and email correspondence should be a section of the council meeting so that everybody is aware of what the other residents are saying.
Ruth, I appreciate the suggestion, and I can certainly understand why you'd want to make it. The issue there is that not everyone wants their private correspondences read in a public setting. Yeah, that's quite truthfully why we have go to the borough, is so that the people that want to communicate with the council in a public forum can do so. Certainly, if you ever had something that you were unable to attend a meeting and you wanted us to read as part of this process, I'm sure we could do that for you. But to make a fundamental across the board change to reading everyone's letter that came into the council, I don't think would be beneficial or realistic at this point. So. Did I properly answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ruth, thank you so much for your time. Very much appreciate it.
There, I have Melissa with her hand. Melissa, if you can talk now.
Hello, hi everyone. It's Melissa Fahori at 11 William Street. I just had a suggestion as far as communication, because I know that communication has been coming up a lot lately, and everyone's saying that the town and the council and everyone could do a better job communicating. I think maybe a quick video each week might be a good idea, because all the information is out there. The agenda's out there, the minutes are out there, everything is there for everyone to see. So as far as making it like school and requiring everyone to read it, I was thinking that maybe a quick video of just a synopsis of what's going to be covered each week might get everyone more engaged a little bit. And another tool that would automatically be there if it was shared on Facebook would be, you'd be able to see how many views it's getting. So you'd be able to see how many people you're reaching, because that seems where everyone is on Facebook. Shared, the Borough webpage doesn't really seem to get that many likes, even though I personally know people are seeing it. Then it's shared on the other pages, so you'd be able to see who's viewing it. So it doesn't have to be anything long, and I don't know who would do it or who would want to do it, or if you'd maybe want to have like a rotating schedule as to who would share it. But I think that would be a good way to trying to get people more engaged and to show that you want to make the effort to get people more engaged and communicate a little better. Because other than that, I really don't know what else you could do.
Thank you, Melissa. Anything else before I respond?
Oh, nope, that's it.
I think that's a very nice suggestion. I guess it just comes down to our ability to create these videos and who has the technical capability. I know I'm actually thankful, Melissa, that you're actually suggesting you want to see more of me on video, because my wife usually wants to see less. But you know, we can socialize it and discuss and see if maybe there's some opportunities. Obviously, we want to communicate to the community as much as we possibly can and inform you of all the decisions and goings on of the borough. You know, it's just a matter of timing and capability. So I think.
Let me comment on
Sure.
that. I think the video idea strikes me as a difficult thing to make it happen. But one thing that I have shared with some council members before is my strong feeling that we should have a way to communicate through slides, a slide presentation. I really feel that things such as, for example, reporting on the finance committee, the personnel, planning and zoning, parks, or whatever, all this reports, in my view, could be in a slide presentation that provide, I don't know, 3 bullet points that tells you visually what is it that happened, when the meeting took place, what were the 2 key items and takeaways for the next time. And it's frustrating somewhat to me that, like, I'm not able to use a laptop here and we don't have a projector that we can share on a large screen and simply be able to click down and someone who's dialing in can see it on their screen. And I find that would really help visualize what we're doing and explain it. And people will be able to maybe refer to that, you know, at their own time. And I find that would be a different way for us to communicate, but requires different technology. Because I have to say, I have looked up things that I've tried to understand as a new person on council, to try to understand where it came from. And I've gone through minutes of the agenda, sometimes going back 5 years, and it's extremely difficult to figure out what happened when with regards to a specific topic. If we had it kind of digested like a slide presentation, at least you'll be able to quickly go through it and know when it was, you know, touched upon. It's just a suggestion.
Are you
something to
saying a
think
slide
about.
presentation in advance of the meetings, or are you saying after you're done with the committee meeting?
I would say if we have it available before the meeting, but that we can actually scroll through, that we can actually scroll through the slide presentation. Doesn't have to be for everything we're doing here, but for some key items. And closely related to that would be also my suggestion that we look at our council committees and reconsider whether we should publish minutes. And I'm talking about something very simple, not the kind of minutes that Allison is taking. And I would ask your advice, Greg, if that's something permissible, that, for example, the finance committee could have minutes that would be like 6 bullet points that says, you know, when we met, who was there, what were the key topics, and what's the next steps. Is that something that would be allowable so we could actually share it with the public, but not the types of minutes that Allison is taking?
It would just be very difficult to administer. Like, for example, we can't publish minutes for the personnel committee, right? Or if the finance touches upon someone's salary or personnel, like, that's going to be the biggest conflict, is administering what's able to be released from those committee meetings that's confidential versus what, could be digested in the public.
The governing body members wanted to, put their report in that format, they certainly could do so and could share it. And, it would not be minutes, it would
I
just
think that's a
be
good idea.
a
That's a
report.
good in between the two.
I was thinking something very short, 5 bullet points to say, met on this date, these people were there, met with this department head, talked about a couple items, and next steps will be blah, blah, blah. Essentially what I said here earlier, but in bullet points that could be shared, or back to the slide idea, but.
They
I
can also
just
be
get that
internal
idea,
documents just for the
something
work that the committee committed to, you're catching in terms of the presentation, but if you kept, reports from each committee meeting and then shared them with each other, that would be very helpful.
So
for
that would be also.
everyone up there, even
Yeah.
if they weren't for public consumption. And obviously I've seen you each do your individual presentations on important topics of the committee. You keep the public information, and that way, but you could have internal deliberative documents, you want to create them for each other.
Yeah, I would.
Should it be helpful to
strongly
each
suggest
other?
that we consider that, even if it's for internal purposes, so that we can share and we actually know. And I'm not talking about 10 pages, I'm talking about, even if it's 5, 6 bullet points, we've got something we can refer easily back to, and sort of be able to put it together in our heads.
Are you suggesting a standardized method of communication across the different
Yeah.
as well? And then that would also
Something that
report
is-
back
yeah.
into the public?
Something that is written and that, it's quick, but we know when the committee took place, who was there, what was discussed, a very broad topic, like brush and grinding was discussed and something else. And then what's the next step? When is it gonna meet again? So that we have something to refer back to, rather than having to remember like what we each said here, during our reports, or having to go back through the minutes. And then maybe that can be the basis for the slides, if we ever get to that. We need the technology to do that. Then you can put it in a few bullet points and we could, post that. And we could slot, click through that as we go here. I just think it's easier. Same thing like with Rich's presentation on the road projects in general. That was a great tool when you were able to present and we were able to see the road project on that special meeting that you held. But when we're here in person, we can't benefit from you presenting on a large screen and be able to expand and show us what you're talking about. And I find that to be something that, from a technology standpoint, maybe we cannot resolve it next month, but I think we should have a plan for it soon. So that Rich is able to make a presentation to us on a large screen and people who are down there can see it as well.
I think those are great suggestions. I do. And I look forward to getting everyone's opinions on how that would translate into the individual committees that they work with, and maybe we can put something together that will improve the process. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Melissa has her hand up again.
Okay, Melissa?
You can unmute.
I just wanted to say that I'm just talking about like someone pretty much reading the agenda so that people don't scroll past it and just can see, like, people are more likely to watch a video and to listen to someone reading the agenda and just being like, oh, they're going to talk about this tonight. Yeah, I should hop on. Like someone taking an iPhone video, like, 15, 20 seconds, like nothing crazy, just like reading the bullet points of what is on the agenda. And I'm not talking about like, like, let's start there. Like all the other stuff sounds great, but just like someone, like just to engage a little bit is what I mean. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Mayor, can I mention one more thing?
Absolutely.
It came up today, the green team in concert with Fairhaven Soccer. They would like to host a cleanup day at Fairhaven Fields on Saturday, October 30th. And has that been approved, Teresa?
Yeah, I told them I thought it was a great initiative and we helped them share, it's sort of like the natural areas when they do their cleanup. Doesn't necessarily need to have a separate approval. I told her we would be happy to get the information out. And once I do have the flyer, I think it's finalized, but once we do, I'll share it with everybody and then we'll put that on all our platforms for the public.
So we can invite the public to participate and the green team and soccer, right? Fairhaven.
I believe so,
Soccer
yeah. And
are
I
sponsoring.
also explained to her that, we get credit in our Clean Communities grant for how much, for those type of cleanup dates, so we track how much we pick up, and the DJ would coordinate with DPW on the actual disposal piece of it.
All right,
So,
because yeah, you said count the bags, we get credit for the amount of debris that we.
and I'm
pick
sure
up.
they'll split recycling and trash.
Okay, great, thank you.
Teresa, anyone else's hand
I
up?
don't see anybody else on the Zoom with a hand up.
Can I add something about?
Absolutely.
I just add something, informal green team update, that you brought that up. Appreciate the green team's help with that. We had a follow-up meeting with Sustainable New Jersey on technical assistance this past week. Provided lots of good information and guidance regarding some grants coming up, particularly one, the Gardner grant. They're brainstorming ideas on help or financial assistance, possibly by Centennial Hall, certain things there. And also connected to facilities, possible EV charging station, pay to play or pay to plug in grants that were, depending on which type of charger you go with, a lot of funding with that. So the green team's gonna help town save some money and keep it clean. We appreciate that. Also, they just had their bike to school on the 20th. And I think that was another big hit. You know, the kids in Fairhaven love riding, walking the bike to school anyway. But from their perspective, all around New Jersey, they were really impressed with how many kids bike and walk to school. So that's it from the green team.
Thank you, Councilman Chair. Anyone else? Good, all right. We will now be going into executive session. Action will not be taken.
Motion to close.
We need a motion to
Need a
close.
motion to close it yet?
Yeah.
Not yet. No.
All right.
Thank you.
Is,